Is there much of a difference between the Mario Kart, which costs a little over $1, and the Mario Kart, which costs around $5? That's what I'm going to be talking about today. What I have here are two Hot Wheels Mario Karts. The one on the left costs just over $1. It's just a regular Hot Wheel sold at a regular price, whereas the one on the right is about $5. And this one obviously has the character on it. Other than that, if you don't care for the character, or if you don't want the character, is there a difference in build or quality? The first thing I'm going to look at is where they're made, because sometimes that does affect the price. The more expensive one is made in Thailand, and the cheaper one is made in Malaysia. Interestingly, I believe labor costs a little bit higher in Malaysia, so you'd think if we're talking about labor costs, this one would cost more, right? But honestly, you know, I'm not an expert on labor costs, and this is not an economics discussion, so I don't really know for sure. But here we have Thailand and we have Malaysia, so the cheaper one is made in Malaysia. Next, I'll talk about the paint and finish. When comparing them very closely, they're both pretty much exactly the same in terms of quality, paint, and finish. There is no difference between the $5 one and the $1 one. You know, sometimes with the more expensive ones, there's some detail that they add that's a little bit nicer, like this. Both of these have that detail. Sometimes you look at the wheels, and the wheel is maybe a little bit nicer on the more expensive one, or you get some kind of rubber, but here we have the same exact wheels. So the paint and finish is more or less the same. There is one small difference though that makes the $5 one a little bit better, and that's the back. So on the back here, if you look at the cheaper Mario Kart, the light is not painted. Whereas on the Princess Peach Mario Kart, we do have some paint here. To me, it does make some difference, and it does look nicer to have the paint on the back. In terms of build, they're more or less built the same. So you have 2 rivets here on the cheaper one, and you have 3 on the more expensive one, but that's not going to make it any more sturdy because it's just a small car. This isn't going to fall apart. I've never had Hot Wheels fall apart. The reason for this third one is because of the figure. So this little figure has to be held in place somehow. There's an extra rivet or screw or whatever you want to call this. Whereas this one only has 2. There's not much of a difference. Let's take a look at the figure. Here we have Princess Peach. It's all plastic, so this is not die cast. It's not made of metal. If it were, I would understand the more expensive price. While I'm on the topic of plastic and metal, there's one more difference that I'd like to point out. And with this one, the cheaper one is actually better, and that's the exhaust. So the exhaust pipes here on the more expensive one are made of plastic as well, and you could see they're malleable. I could move them back and forth, and if I move them too much, they'll probably break off, so I don't want to move them too much. But this is just plastic. On the cheaper one, they're made of metal, so this is part of the metal setup, and that's really good. That's sturdier, it makes it nicer, heftier, right? So that's an interesting difference that I found, where, you know, this is plastic, but it costs more, and this is metal, but it costs less, right? You would think that the one with more metal would cost more. So ultimately, there's not too much difference. The cheaper one actually has more metal, and the more expensive one has a little bit more detail, only in terms of the paint back here. Other than that, they're exactly the same, save for, of course, the figure. And I guess that's what makes it $5. And then you could buy all different types of characters. Honestly, if you're a very hardcore Mario fan and you need the characters and you need Yoshi and you need Mario sitting here in your Hot Wheels vehicle, you, I guess, would go for the more expensive one. But if you're just a regular Hot Wheels collector and you want a Mario Kart for your collection and you're not too worried about this, definitely don't buy this one. It's just way overpriced for what you get. Instead, go for the cheaper one, which is just as nice and even better in some regards. That's all I really wanted to talk about. And I know this might seem like a stupid video or a boring video, but Hot Wheels is a big thing. So many people collect Hot Wheels, so many people collect Matchbox, so many people are into die-cast vehicles, right? And we really need to take a proper objective look at the prices we see on the shelves. I know with collectibles, a lot of it is emotional, so you pay more for something that you like more, especially in the aftermarket scene where people get them off the shelf and then they resell them. Things that are very popular go for a lot of money. But in terms of sticker price, in terms of what you would pay at Walmart, I really don't see why this is so much more expensive than this one. We really need to ask the question, is this worth it? Is this worth the extra price tag? Why are the prices so different? And that's it.